I, 29 female, have been with my husband 30 for almost 7 years in total. We got married within a year of meeting and have 2 children together. He's an amazing man and an amazing person. Handsome, well-educated, good-paying job, and has never cheated or disrespected me in any way before all of this happened. My close friends and family always remind me of how lucky I've been in life to meet him, and what an amazing guy he is. I used to look at us like soulmates. About a year ago, I ended up going out with a group of friends for a birthday party, in which I ended up very, very drunk and sleeping with a man who had been flirting with me the entire night. It was the first time I felt so good in many years, and I can't explain why. But I ended up going home with him. Within minutes of realizing what mistake I had done, I ordered a taxi home and confessed to my husband, crying, feeling incredible regret, and literally hating myself for it. He initially stayed quiet and calm, but let me know he wanted a divorce. But after begging and begging, we ended up going to counseling. When at the counseling sessions, he never seems to be coherent and just sits and scrolls on his mobile. Whenever he gets a question about his feeling or what he can do to improve, he says something along the lines of divorcing a hoe, maybe? Or very negative answers directed towards me. Most of the time, he doesn't even seem to care and just stays quiet, even being asked questions and when we're trying to engage him into the conversation. I realize the mistake I've done, and I've spent the past year doing everything I can to save the marriage. It's gotten to the point where I even agree to do sexual acts which I despise for him, such as anal sex. I've been cleaning the house, cooking, and all chores in the house by myself, with no help on his side. Whatever he asks for, you name it, I've done it all. He has these outbursts in which he calls me horrible names. Sometimes the children can hear it from their bedrooms. And moments in which he just completely ignores me, walks through the house as if I don't exist. He always treats the children with love and never badmouths me to them and tries to keep them away from our arguments. Sometimes if I don't perform certain things, no matter the time, such as anal sex or other things, he starts telling me he'll divorce me and leave me. Or he begins mentioning my infidelity, telling me this is all my fault. He says he did a mistake marrying me and calls me a hoe or other words. I also know he's been speaking to women. And when I confront him about it, he literally starts mentioning my infidelity. I have no proof of whether he's met anyone behind my back, but I just want everything to turn back into the ways they were. One time when I brought up a message I had seen from another woman on his phone, he grabbed my hand and took me to the main hall and pointed to the door and told me the exit is right there if I want to leave. And that he doesn't give a shiz of what I think or feel. I feel as if I've lost the caring, loving husband I once had and turned him into this monster. I love him to death and can't imagine myself with anyone else. I regret my mistake every single day and just want my family back. I don't know if I can save this marriage, but I'm willing to do whatever it takes. I don't know what I'm asking for. Maybe I just need to vent out. But I just wish I could go back in time and reverse all of this. Edit. I forgot to mention more details about the therapy sessions. I want to point out I did take full responsibility for my actions and myself, put no blame onto him. It wasn't until after the therapist pointed out that my husband might have done things to have pushed me away, causing me to cheat, that led to him becoming like this during the therapy sessions. I'm considering changing therapist for us to try to work it out. I really, really want this to work. Update. I confronted my husband today. As many people have stated, I've had a feeling he doesn't want to try anymore and that he just wants to move on. Initially, I walked up to him and wanted to explain the entire situation about how I understand his pain and how I understand that he no longer wants to work on the marriage and move on. So I told him if this is what he truly wants, I'll accept it and let him move on with his life. But that I truly love him and forever will. He just stood silent and looked at me, came up and hugged me, and started to cry. I started to cry as well. This was the first time I felt a genuine loving hug and emotion from him in a long time. After what felt like a few minutes of crying and hugging, he finally let go and asked me to come sit down with him. He started letting me know that he still loves me with all his heart and that he loves our children, but he has a hard time forgetting and moving on from what happened. He said that he has these angry, raging moments not only because of the hatred of what I had done, but also because he has these images in his head of what I had done. He can't forget about them. He told me he had plenty of women flirting with him over the years, and that he had plenty of chances to stray away from loyalty, but that I and the kids always meant more for him than a few moments of pleasure, and that he never could have done what I did to him, that he loved me too much to hurt me. I broke down even more when I heard him saying this. He then kept on telling me how something's broken within him that cannot be fixed. He said he had been chatting with other women these months but never actually slept or done anything physical with them, because he didn't feel it was the right thing to do. Hearing me tell him that he can move on was the first time he felt I finally understood how he's feeling inside and how broken he is. He told me that he doesn't know what the future holds for us, but that he, for the moment being, wants to be single, explore his own life, and maybe we'll end up together in the future. But for the time being, he needs to work on himself away from me. I told him I would agree to sign the divorce papers if he wanted a divorce, and that I didn't want anything from him. What he brought into the marriage is his, and I don't want to take that away from him. He earns much more money than me, but I still don't want him to have to use that money on me, so I don't want child support as well. Hearing all of this made him cry, and he said he hopes he can forgive me one day, but that time apart will do us both good and let us reflect on our lives. He said that he'll get a lawyer and bring the divorce papers in a week or so. I will not meet anyone else after the divorce, and I don't want to either. I truly hope he comes back to me one day so we can have our old family back. I wish I could take back everything. I really have huge feelings of remorse and just lost the one person that truly is my soulmate. I guess I'm getting divorced. Comments. Well, you reap what you sow. Remember that you made the decision to cheat on him. Drunk or not, it doesn't matter. You were the one who destroyed your marriage and family. If you truly loved him, you wouldn't have cheated or put yourself in a situation where that could happen. You say you can't see yourself with anyone else, but you were with someone else. I can't blame him for his anger and hurt because I couldn't forgive something like that either. So with that in mind, a divorce is the best and only option. Personally, I don't see you two getting back together, especially if he finds someone else who won't ever dream of hurting him that way. You also need to wrap your head around the fact that he's going to date and sleep around with other women. If you don't want to date, that's your business, but just know that he will. Child support isn't for you. It's for your child. Don't be a martyr. You cheated, it ended the marriage, but your STBX is still a father. Story 2. My boyfriend and I have been dating for about half a year. He's a great guy. We very rarely argue, and he's just an easygoing person in general. The problem is Matt. We've been close friends for many years. We're both very invested in our dogs, and our lifestyles, careers revolve around them. We spend the majority of our days hiking, running, training, doing agility, disc, coursing, IPO, etc. with the dogs, together. I can't say exactly why we've never become intimate or even considered it. There's definitely a physical attraction. Maybe just timing, I'm not sure. My boyfriend doesn't have a problem with Matt. He doesn't get jealous about anything ever. He has his friends, and I have mine. There has never been a fight over me spending time with other guys. My boyfriend and Matt get along and occasionally hang out together. That's part of it, though. Matt and I frequently get into passionate debates and discussions. Not fights, just spirited conversations. My boyfriend is very passive and dislikes arguing. So he'll either agree that I'm right or say, no, I'm right because X, and then that's the end of the conversation. I think this is a good quality though, and I strive to be more calm and accepting like he is. This is the problem. Matt and I go hiking together all the time. Sometimes my boyfriend comes, but he isn't all that outdoorsy, so it's not uncommon for him to pass. He is always enthusiastically invited to everything we do together. Unless it's work. Obviously, my boyfriend has his own job. We just got back from an overnight hiking trip with the dogs. We brought two tents, but there were malfunctions with Matt's tent and we couldn't get it to stand up properly, and it kept collapsing. He said he would sleep outside, but I encouraged him to just move his sleeping bag into my tent since it's larger for the dogs, and it was supposed to rain. We both felt a little weird about it, but he agreed and I was sure my boyfriend would be fine with it. Earlier in the day, Matt ended up spending a lot of time shirtless. Like I said, I'm physically attracted to him and he's in great shape, so I did a bit of peeking. I don't know if it was built up energy from that, but we shared some sort of look in the tent that did not feel innocent at all. We weren't discussing anything unusual, but I think we were both giving off sexual vibes. Ugh, that sounds so gross. I was just extremely turned on and I should have left the tent, but I didn't. Anyway, Matt finally cleared his throat and we went to bed, separate sides of the tent. I couldn't sleep the entire night because I felt so guilty and terrible and turned on. Today continued as usual. We were maybe a bit quieter on the way back, but neither of us mentioned it. Then, as Matt dropped me off at my house, he hugged me like he's done 1,000 times before. Except this time, it felt different. And it lasted a second or two longer than it should have. It didn't feel like a friendly hug, and I hate to admit it, but I didn't want it to end there. So now I'm waiting for my boyfriend to come home, and I feel like I have to tell him. I just don't know what to say. I feel so terrible, and it's like I've betrayed my boyfriend and abused his trust in me around Matt. Comments. You didn't cheat and act on your thoughts. What you did was look temptation in the eye, or pecs and abs, and you said no. Tell your boyfriend what you need to tell him, but don't paint yourself as an adulteress. What you did wasn't emotional cheating either, by the way. You didn't seek out Matt to confide in him for validation or empathy instead of to the detriment of your boyfriend relationship. I think that you should tell him so that the two of you can talk it through. If you were in your boyfriend's shoes, I'm sure that's what you would want. Your boyfriend is very trusting because he feels that you're completely honest with him. And therefore, he has nothing to worry about. If you're starting to have feelings for your friend and don't tell him, why should he afford you the same trust that he has in the past?